The Doctor Who telemovie, produced by Fox in Canada and broadcast in 1996, was the first attempt to bring Doctor Who back to TV after its cancellation in 1989. This was intended to be a backdoor pilot for a new Fox-produced American Doctor Who series, but due to low ratings in America, this series was not commissioned. Doctor Who would later be very successfully revived by the BBC in 2005 and has since attained major popularity in the US, but having watched the telemovie, I can see why Fox decided not to make a new Who series back in the 90s. The Doctor Who telemovie is pretty bad. The telemovie is not a reboot of the franchise, but rather a continuation of the original series, and so begins with the Seventh Doctor, Sylvester McCoy, taking the remains of his enemy, the Master, back to Gallifrey. But the Master reconstitutes himself and sabotages the Doctor's TARDIS, causing him to land in San Francisco at the turn of the millennium. The Seventh Doctor is shot in a gang shootout and dies in hospital during botched surgery, but thankfully regenerates later into the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann. Now a new man, the Doctor must both regain his memories and stop the Master from stealing his regenerations and destroying the Earth with the Eye of Harmony's reality-distorting effects. To start off, and to begin the review proper on a positive note, Paul McGann makes a great Doctor in his only, until the 2013 mini-episode Night of the Doctor, filmed appearance as the Doctor. The Eighth Doctor is charismatic, bright and jovial, and aside from a couple of shouty moments, handles intense scenes with poise and measured restraint. I love the Eighth Doctor's combination of childlike enthusiasm and resolute determination, his admiration for humans, and his tendency to go off on tangents about meeting historical figures as he tries to recall who he is. As with the 11th Doctor, I also enjoy the sense of him being both in control and going with the flow, and his subtle tricks and manipulation are a fun aspect of his character. Paul McGann is an excellent actor and does a very good job as the 8th Doctor. His performance in Night of the Doctor is better, mind you, but that's because he had much better material to work with and was more comfortable and experienced in the role after 17 years of audio novel and radio drama adventures. Still, Paul McGann is the best part of the Doctor Who telemovie. There are a few other good aspects in the telemovie. Yi-Ji Tuso, who plays the Master's goaded henchman Chang-Lee, delivers a decent performance, and Sylvester McCoy is frantic and engaging in his final outing as the Doctor. The opulent, Victorian-inspired TARDIS set looks gorgeous. The Jelly Baby motif, which harkens back to the original series, is kind of cute, and I chuckled a little at the absurdity of the flippant heart surgeons and the on-call cardiologist rushing back from the opera and performing surgery in a corseted opera gown. Also, the first 20 to 25 minutes are actually really good. The gang shootout marking the Doctor's arrival is fairly dramatic, the surgery scene is genuinely stressful because of the Doctor's pained fear and the surgeons hurting him due to their ignorance of Time Lord anatomy. I like the clever allusion to Frankenstein as the Doctor's regeneration brings him back from the dead, and McGann's distraught confusion afterward is riveting. The opening of the telemovie is well made and absorbing, even with the unfortunate choice of imagery that makes the escaping Master look like a slithering blob of ejaculate. But after this promising beginning, the Doctor Who telemovie crashes and burns, ending up as an absolute disaster. McGann is great, and Tuso is pretty good, but the rest of the cast is very poor. Eric Roberts is enjoyably hammy at first, but soon becomes tiresome, as he constantly chews the scenery, and Daphne Ashbrook as the Doctor's companion Grace Holloway is incredibly annoying. Her character is also badly written and inconsistent, as she veers from accepting that the Doctor is an alien to denial and back again. The dialogue is terrible, the film is full of far too much forced comic relief, and the pacing is frustratingly slow, as the events progress with a severe lack of tension or urgency. The conflict also doesn't make much sense. The Master opens the Eye of Harmony, a perpetually collapsing star functioning as the TARDIS's power source, to lure the Doctor and enable the transfer of his regenerations to him. The open Eye of Harmony is warping reality and will eventually pull the Earth into it if the Doctor can't close it, but there's no good reason why it should do this, and we see so little of the Eye's damaging effects that we can't view it as much of a threat. The Master's need for the Doctor's regenerations is also barely established, with only one scene of his body decaying to show that he is dying, before the film largely ignores this plot point. By the way, the Master's green lizard eyes look really silly and cheap. The whole business about the Doctor being half human, with only full humans being able to open the eye, didn't anger me like it did with many other fans, but it's still a dumb plot point that doesn't make much sense, especially since it makes no sense for a Time Lord invention to only be accessible to humans. The Doctor needing to get an atomic clock to reset the TARDIS from a timing malfunction feels like an arbitrary fetch quest, and the resolution of the conflict is very poorly conceived. The Doctor and Grace send the TARDIS back to before the eye was opened, thus closing the eye. The TARDIS has its own passage of time within it. It has to, since it's a time machine, so rewinding the TARDIS and eye shouldn't have worked, but it does. There is also the rather sentimental cop-out of the TARDIS reviving the killed Grace and Chang at the end. The Doctor Who telemovie is terribly written and nonsensical in so many ways, and is also slow, poorly acted, and contains too much awkward humour. This is particularly disappointing after the strong intro. Paul McGann is excellent as the Doctor, and makes the telemovie just worth watching, but the recent mini-episode Night of the Doctor, written by Stephen Moffat, really does McGann and his fans proud. The Doctor Who telemovie earns 2 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.